The tactical rifles inside Warzone have had another nerf, but this one is in the form of nerfing the titanium barrel. It was pretty much the go-to choice of barrel when it comes to all the tactical rifles. It gave you faster bullet velocity as well as a faster rate of fire. Now that's changed, we all want to know what is the best tactical rifle and what are the best class setups. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. Also go ahead and follow us over on Twitch as we're streaming regularly over there as well, and we're having a ton of fun doing it. So definitely follow us over there, the link will be in the description down below. So the first thing we need to discuss is what is the next best barrel to use. Now that the titanium barrel has taken a nerf and it's no longer giving you any bonus to bullet velocity, what is the next barrel we should be using on each of these different weapons? The source of the next section of this video is actually JGod, so we will leave a link in the description down below to his channel. And what we're looking at here is the M16, the AUG, the DMR-14 and the Type 63. That's the 4 weapons that are on the screen just now, and we've got every single barrel for each one of these guns with the bullet velocity right next to them. What JGod has kindly done for us though is showing us the bullet velocity for before and after the nerf. The main one we're focused on here is the one labelled February the 6th. But to make this simpler to see, I've highlighted in red the one barrel for each of these guns that we should be using here, because the strike team barrel for the M16 and the AUG gives the fastest bullet velocity, and the reason why we choose this over the cavalry barrel for the M16 for example is because it actually does give a fire rate bonus as well, and then the cavalry lancer is chosen for the semi-automatic guns. The cavalry lancer does not increase rate of fire like the strike team barrel does, it only boosts the bullet velocity. So what that means is you'll no longer benefit from a rate of fire bonus like you did with the titanium barrel on the semi-automatic guns. However, on the burst fire weapons, you do get an increase to your rate of fire with the strike team barrel. Now looking at the before and afters, we're comparing the before with the titanium barrel to the after with the strike team or the cavalry lancer. The only gun that's actually received a bit of a buff to the bullet velocity is the AUG, but every other weapon has received a nerf to the maximum bullet velocity you can get with those guns. Overall, in terms of bullet velocity, we are still going to get a decent bullet velocity with these guns, especially if you stack that agency suppressor on top of these barrels, which is what most people will do, but it's definitely clear that you're not getting that huge bonus like you were before with the titanium barrel. Next, we need to take a look at the time to kill for each of these guns. Now keep in mind that we're going to compare the AUG with the M16 and the Type 63 with the DMR, because 2 are semi-automatic and the other 2 are burst fire guns. The next section of this video is going to be taken from TrueGameData.com, and a link to their channel as well as website will also be linked in the description down below. But what we're looking at here is all of the tactical rifles in terms of time to kill on the screen just now. Now, what I do want to mention quickly is that for the Type 63 and the DMR-14, adding that cavalry lancer does not change the time to kill for these guns, because it doesn't actually increase the rate of fire in any way, shape or form. It only increases the bullet velocity, so we don't need to take a look at that barrel at all for bullet velocity because we're only looking at time to kill at the current moment. So we have the M16 in this dark blue line here, or purple line. Then we have the pink line, which is the AUG, the green line, which is the Type 63, the cyan line, which is the DMR-14. We'll also add in the time to kill with the strike team barrels as well in just a moment. I do have them up here. But what we can see is the time to kill for the M16, in terms of comparing the burst fire weapons only, the AUG does kill much faster than the M16, and that is at all ranges because there's no damage drop-off points for either one of these two guns. In terms of comparing the semi-automatic weapons, we have the DMR-14 with a time to kill of 649 milliseconds, and that's at every single range, providing you're landing your shots of course, and we're only looking at chest shots here, and this means that at any distance, providing you land all your shots, you should get a theoretical time to kill of 649 milliseconds. Then for the Type 63, you can see that it has a time to kill of 525 milliseconds below 22 meters. Now you're not really going to be using this gun below 22 meters, let's be completely honest. With these kind of weapons, you do want to be using them between 20 or even 30, all the way up until about 100 meters. These are going to be your long range guns for sure. You do not want to use them in less than 20 meters, but this is why the AUG feels so good in that below 20 meter mark, because it does have a super fast time to kill below 22 meters. Then after the 22 meters, it drops off to 700 milliseconds, which is definitely much slower than the DMR by about 50 milliseconds. Now, one thing I do want to do here is actually get rid of the M16 as well as the AUG and then add in the strike team barrels, because that actually reduces their time to kill, because it does give them about a 9% rate of fire increase, which is definitely a good bonus, but it's not as big as what you got with the titanium barrel. Now, you can see that the M16 has reduced down to 767 milliseconds, and the AUG has now reduced quite far down to 708 milliseconds, which is close to the Type 63. So personally, in terms of time to kill, obviously the AUG is the better weapon for the burst fire weapons, and then the DMR kills slightly faster at longer ranges compared to the Type 63 for the semi-automatic weapons. So still, there's not a clear-cut winner on which one of these guns are best, whether they're burst or semi-automatic, and the reason for it is that the AUG does have the faster time to kill out of the burst weapons, but then it has the lower bullet velocity. Then if you're looking at the semi-automatic weapons, the DMR is much more consistent over range, especially if you're looking at a long range time to kill, and bullet velocities for both of these two guns are actually exactly the same. So let's see if the recoil can help us distinguish which one of these guns is actually better for each category. What you're seeing on screen now is that we have all the recoil charts for every single one of these guns. This recoil chart was taken at a 30 meter distance, which is where I think most of your gunfights are going to be with each one of these guns. I do want to mention this was only using the cavalry lancer on the Type and the DMR, and the strike team barrel on the AUG and the M16. We use no other attachments in this. We're trying to see the overall effects of the barrel itself and not any other attachments. If you do stack full attachments on this, like the field agent grip and all that kind of stuff, you will yield better results than this, of course. But from this, we spammed each of these guns as fast as possible to make sure we're hitting the maximum fire rate. We also shot these recoil charts standing to make sure we're not trying to get rid of any idle sway, because idle sway will be taken into account if you're firing standing up, so I want to make it as realistic as possible. Personally, in my opinion, I would go for the Type 63 hands down. The recoil chart is so good for that gun, especially considering it's semi-automatic. Trying to correct for recoil while spamming a trigger is very difficult to do, so I would rather have that much more clustered recoil chart. Is going to be a better option for you, especially if you struggle to control semi-automatic recoil. In terms of the AUG and the M16, there's not a huge amount that separates these two guns, so between those two, it's going to be a matter of preference. Quickly summarizing this, and then we'll get into the best class setups. From the recoil, we can see that the M16 and the AUG have very similar recoil charts. There's not a lot that separates those two guns there. If you're trying to go for the fastest bullet velocity, the M16 is better. If you're looking for a faster time to kill, the AUG is better. In my opinion, between the two burst fire weapons, I would choose the AUG because it has the faster time to kill, and the bullet velocity once you stack attachments, there's not a huge difference. Then for the semi-automatic weapons, I would hands down go for the Type 63 now. Your theoretical time to kill with the DMR-14 is better if you do land all your shots, but you're more likely to land your shots with the Type 63, and therefore yielding yourself a better practical time to kill. Now I'm going to quickly go through some class setups. First, we have the Type 63. You want to use the GRU suppressor, the Cavalry Lancer barrel, which is what we've changed now, the Axial Arms 3x optic, the Spetsnaz ergonomic grip, and the VDV 50 round fast mags. Next, we have the DMR-14. You want to use the Agency suppressor, the Cavalry Lancer barrel again, the Axial Arms 3x optic, the Field Agent grip, and the 40 round salvo mags. For the AUG, we have the Agency silencer, the Strike Team barrel now, the Axial Arms 3x optic, the Field Agent foregrip, and the 45 round drum. And lastly, for the M16, we have the Agency silencer, the Strike Team barrel again, the Axial Arms 3x optic, the Field Agent foregrip, and the 45 round mags. So of course, these are just recommended class setups, but one thing I would like to mention is that the Axial Arms 3x optic does actually help with recoil on the burst fire guns, so that's the AUG and the M16. We've done previous testing on a different video on that, and we'll link it at the end of this one so you can see what I'm talking about. But that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to leave us a like. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, as we're trying to reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers, and it takes a while to put together videos like this. And also go ahead and follow us over on Twitch if you haven't already. We're going to be streaming over there twice a week. Thank you very much for watching.